Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, go with the flow. And then I'd really speak about your passions and how you do things as well. And like how you keep positive in a world full of negativity.
Wow, that's an interesting conversation because I mean, for me personally, I think you just got to surround yourself first of all with the people that mean the most to you. So friends, family, of course, and just like obviously we're in a world where we're in almost like an attention economy, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So like everyone's fighting for your attention, and like sometimes when you're scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or you're watching YouTube videos, sometimes things pop up on your feed, and sometimes I do feel like a lot of these social media companies, they do push certain things for you because they want you to consume certain things. But
That's
at the
right.
end of the day, like what I've learned, at least in my life, you have a choice. Everything is a choice. You choose what you consume at the end of the day, whether that is something positive for you and whether that's something negative for you. That is a choice at the end of the day. And as long as you're, I guess, consciously aware of that, then you should be all good. So if you're consuming stuff which it's like say like I don't smoke or drink because I know that's not good for you, right? So it's kind of the same thing. Like if you're watching stuff which ain't good for you, then obviously you're not gonna have a great reaction to it. So it's just about
No, it's very
consuming the
true.
stuff which is good for you. So yeah, I don't know about you. I don't know about yourself, but yeah.
No, you're right. I kind of go off the same thing. Man, it's a hard one because we're human, so we have our days, don't we?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
as you said, the endless scrolling and seeing what's happening in the world right now. I mean, social media platforms, as good as they can be to get the message out there, can be a very steep downfall as well. And I remember when I first joined TikTok, I got involved in all the trends and, trying to build up a following and a community, and realized in the past year or so that it didn't fulfill what I was doing, because I felt like I was following the trend, and we all do it. It happens.
Yeah.
And then, I got back from Singapore with the family, and, speaking to my brother, who we do the podcast with as well, I kind of put a bit of realization. I stepped away for 2 weeks. I deleted all the apps and realized that I'm going to make content that I like.
Exactly.
And that I want to share. And whether it brings one or two people to the page and it helps them in any sort of way, then my job's done. And I felt like I was catering for the apps so that I was on it all the time. But now my brother's got this philosophy, which he probably took from Joe Rogan, is post and ghost. And ghost.
Yeah.
So just, once you post it, put it out there. And then, if you get good interaction, you get great interaction. And if you get bad, you get bad. And I mean, there was a couple of things that I used to get involved in arguments on TikTok, and I realized, oh my God, this app is really controlling how people's attitudes are and what they see. So now I've completely moved away from that. And, if there's a delete button, if there's a negative comment, delete. That's all. Delete and block.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You actually are in control of what you do. We've started into a massive conversation here. And guys, before I could even introduce the guest on the show, Kafil has come through on the podcast as a guest, and I can't thank him enough. We've been following each other for a while now.
Yeah,
since I joined TikTok. Yeah, and
a couple of years now.
Yeah, a couple of years, and then I met him recently while he's working on this secret project of his of getting the film out, and he gave me a really nice present frame with the poster of the movie that you're working on, and then we've kept in contact ever since. Massive thank you again from the family, dude, for the gift that you gave us the other day.
Oh yeah, have you used
really
it?
Surprised. No, we will soon. No, we've opened it. We just didn't know where it came from. We were like,
That's the crazy thing. I was looking at it and it said it was delivered at like 10 o'clock. And I was like, why would they deliver it at 10 o'clock? Like, did it arrive in the evening?
Yeah, it did.
I was like, of course, now he's going to think like I'm crazy. Like I've just delivered something at like 10 o'clock. And I was like, no, what Amazon person delivers something at like 10 in the evening? Usually it's like during the day. And then you're like, oh, okay, what's this? So that's why when I saw it was delivered, I was like, quick, I need to message him before he thinks like someone's like, yeah, like it was nothing. It
No,
wasn't
very
like
grateful,
nothing
man.
crazy.
Very, very,
So
very, very, very grateful.
no
And
way,
thank you
man.
so much. But
No
yeah,
way.
listen, guys. So I've been following his page for ages now, and it's really inspiring the work that you've done and how you've grown it. And you've picked something that I adore, movies, man, like, you know,
Same.
cinema.
Same.
And you pick the best quotes out for the day to help somebody. And, you know, it's amazing how far you've come with it, dude. I mean, like,
Yeah.
where was the inception idea of that I'm gonna push this out?
Do you know what? Like, it's really weird because when I first started doing it, I wasn't like if you scroll like literally to the first video I ever made, it wasn't actually a movie clip. It was just like me just making just a random video, and I was like, oh, this got like a couple hundred views. Why?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything special, and then I was just kind of like posting more and doing a few other bits and pieces, and like I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I did a few trends and things like that, and nothing really took off. But the first video that ever took off, I remember it. It was like this like video which I did with like best zombie movies or something like that. It was a video, and it got like 300,000 views. I was like, why?
Wow.
Why would someone watch this video? And this was like back in sort of 2019 to early 2020, 2020, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So I just keep posting more stuff, and just it was naturally evolving. I started doing like inspirational movie quotes because I was like, well,
Mhm.
like if no one's gonna watch my stuff, I might as well make it for myself. So if ever I'm having a bad day, I can always refer back to it, and that's kind
Yeah.
of what I started off doing, and then I just sort of evolved it from there and just started making more. I've done sort of more generic movie clips now, and I'm testing out a lot of different stuff. And what
Mhm.
you actually mentioned earlier about like getting into arguments with people on TikTok, this is actually kind of like this is kind of sad because I'll show you because one of the videos I actually posted like recently was a clip from, and I did this on purpose just to test to see
Okay.
what people's reactions would be. This was a clip from American History X, and it was basically talking about like how the government are like terrible, the border
Mhm.
policies, and the amount of comments, the amount of hate comments, which like not for me, but like just people in general. So like there were a lot of Americans fighting in the comments between
Oh
people
my
who are
god.
like Mexican, like of the border,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, it's crazy how one video can make people go absolutely insane. And I did it as a test just to basically almost like a social experiment, you could
Yeah.
say, just to basically see like how people would react to it. Because that one, there is a couple swear words in that, and I knew it would kind of get some sort of tractions. And
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
recent videos which I posted, some of them have only got a couple thousand views, but this one in particular got like 100 and currently it's on 130,000 views, and just because it has so much controversy and so much like hate.
Mm.
And I was wondering, it just made me realize like why do people sort of, I don't know, like just move towards the hate side more to as opposed to like more sort of good content and just generally good stuff. I just feel like that's why like in the media you see that's why they want to sell things which are controversial because that's what gets the numbers, that's what gets the views. And for me, like doing that, like I saw it and yeah, it's cool because obviously it gets views, but it's quite sad to see at the end of the
Mhm.
day. But again, it's an interesting experiment on that. So yeah, I mean,
No, I saw that video as well, and yes, it is controversial, but we as human beings are drawn to
exactly.
negativity.
Yeah.
And it's what and the app wins 100% on that. Doesn't matter what sort of messaging it's got on there, it will get misconstrued, and people will feed off it, bro. And it's so
Yeah.
hard because like having a daughter and understanding where I stand as a father of how I can guide them, but it's very hard. It's a difficult one because negativity and the bad news and it's that content is king, bros. That
Yeah.
that content is king, and it's sad that we're drawn to it so much because I'm a victim of it as well. You know,
Yeah.
who doesn't love a good debate? I'd say debate. People would
Yeah.
call it argument,
Yeah.
uh, but it's how you, I suppose, how you convey your message. I suppose
Hmm.
that's the part where people get really lost and confused. And to be honest, it's information overload for me after that. Like there's only a certain amount I can stick up for myself till I lose my trend of thought, because it's hard for me with what I suffer. It's hard for me to express myself in the way I can. So, man, the world we live in, bro. That's
It's
the hardest part.
crazy. It's crazy, man. Like that's the thing. Like from just doing like a lot of the TikTok stuff, it made me realize like what people are drawn to naturally, because obviously that controversy, people, it piques their like curiosity as well. Like recently, like I've just been doing sort of generic stuff, and I just was like, oh, let me test it out, and it really showed me like I didn't even comment on that video. Usually, like I'll reply to a few comments. I just left it because I was just like, I'm not going to get involved in this, because like so many people are like saying, oh, I hate you people, like, you know, like you should have never traveled across the border. And I'm like, wow, it just goes to show like how one video can just like people just, I don't know why people just hate each other. Like I don't see what the issue is, you know, like at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Like, you know, we're all gonna at one point die. We all have family members who we love. We all bleed the same blood. Like there's not like on the outside, yeah, okay, you've got different features, obviously, skin color, hair, but at the end of the day, at the core, like we're all human beings. Like, and I think that's kind of one of the things which I've learned. It's like sometimes, you know, people who you hang out with, they just won't like you for whatever reason. Maybe because of your skin color, maybe because of the way you look or the way you talk. But I've just learned to sort of just accept that people like they've grown up in a certain environment, they've been taught in a certain way, and you just, as much as like I'm that type of person, I want to try and like explain myself and try and maybe get people to not necessarily agree with me, but maybe just understand, so we at least have that mutual respect. But sometimes people don't, and you just have to kind of just accept that and just go, you know what, like sometimes people are going to like me, sometimes people are not. But I think the best thing is just as long as you stay true to yourself and you do what makes, you know, fulfills you, and you're around the people who you care about the most, and I guess that's the main thing, really, you know. So that's why, like me just giving you like a little gift like that, I don't know if you've used it at all, or if you've opened it at all yet. It's just a genuine it's just something genuine for me, because like I like obviously like when we spoke, you were like, oh yeah, I've been super busy, so I was just like, oh, let me just do something super nice. That's just who I am.
No, and
It's
grateful, and there's not many people like that in the world, dude.
you know.
And that's a good trait, and we will use it. Baby's due
Yeah.
in 6 weeks, so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Hopefully everyone goes
fun
smoothly.
times. Yeah, no, but you know, it's good gestures like that. It's the good deeds that you do that is rewarding, right? So like when you post one of those like inspiring videos from the movies, because when I first saw your page, like as you said, it was a feel good moment, and that's what it made me feel when I followed that. It's an amazing feeling, because cinema can touch people in so many different ways. And a certain, you know, quote or something that sticks with you. I mean, there's so many movie quotes that I absolutely love, but you pop them up and it always reminds me of, like, you know, that's why I love that movie.
The one that you duetted, I still remember this to this day. You duetted Blade Runner.
Yes.
You drew the picture. I remember it, like, and I was just like, oh wow, this is so awesome. The drawing was so cool. It was so
Yeah.
awesome. And yeah, see, like even still to that day, like I remember that, and that's the reason I do that, because like I said, at the end of the day, I was just doing it for myself, because I was just like, oh, I love these movies. The movies are awesome. And like going on to that point of like, yeah, like just that feel good factor and that feel good like moment. Like my favorite comment which I've ever got from someone was for the movie. I did a clip from a movie called Nacho Libre with Jack Black. And he said in that, I don't know if the clip's still there, but essentially what he said was, this movie reminds me of my mother. She's no longer here with me, and it means just the world to me. And for me, like I never pin comments or highlight comments or anything like that. But I saw that and I pinned that and I replied to it, and I was like, this is the reason why like I love movies so much, just because of this comment right here. Because for me, like at the end of the day, I think movies are, at least for me, it's about like connecting to the people that you love. Like so like he watched that film and his mother's no longer with him, but that is a reminder, and that's that like beautiful like connection. And that for me is the reason why I want to like post these obviously inspiring videos and make movies like myself, because it's not really about the money. Like the money is nice for sure, but like it's more about like that connection. And like if someone said to me, oh Phil, I watched the film that you made, and like for me like I watched it with my brother, I watched it with my dad, but unfortunately my dad's not here with me anymore. That would mean more to me than like winning an Oscar, because it's just like I would have had such an impact on someone's life that would just be so incredible, that I'd just be so grateful for. I'd probably end up crying for them. So, like it's just one of those things. It's just the connection to the people that you care about. And I think that's what's really special for me, for movies especially.
No,
So
that's
yeah.
it's an amazing thing you do, dude. And as I said, it touches people in different ways. And connection is so important because movies, pop culture is my life, and it helped me to get to where my journey's heading to, because we're coming from a background where back when I was younger, my mum, my dad, they were both working. It was hard for them to have good interactions with us, but what they did do for us was leave us a VCR player, VHS, player, and loads of movies to watch, which me and my brothers and my little sister grew up with. And, as much as my parents have played a big part in our lives and our journey, those movies helped as well. Like, yes, your parents and family members can give you great advice and things like that, but man, movies gave me something else when it came to imagination and how I deal with things sometimes in the real world and my escapism. It's I don't do drugs and all the rest of it, so that's mine. I suppose it helps fuel my imagination. It helps fuel me to do my everyday work. So it's amazing. It's amazing that you use those clips, bro. Definitely. I mean, Blade Runner is one of my favorites. When I
Yeah,
saw that
love
clip, I
Blade.
was like, I have to. I love that scene with Roy. It's such an integral moment in the movie, and it's one of the best quotes ever. I think
Yeah.
one of the best quotes ever. So no, definitely, definitely. I mean, you touched on an Oscar. What did you think of the Oscars last week?
Oh, do you know what? Like, I think the Oscars just redeemed themselves from last year. Obviously, Will Smith with the slap. So, like, it went from Will Smith slapping someone to Key kissing
Yeah,
Harrison, which was like, do you know what? I feel like the right people won it, and like justice was sort of like served in that sense, where like it just goes to show that look at Key. He was starred in
yeah.
these big movies as a child actor, Goonies, Indiana Jones, and he couldn't find work for like several years. Had to work behind the camera, and so it just goes to show it's so difficult, even for people that you think have that platform
There's
already.
foot in the door. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
exactly. So like it just goes to show how difficult it is just to not only get there but also maintain at that level. And I saw an interview with him, and he said when you work with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Harrison Ford, the only way is downhill. So because he was already right at the top. So, but it's crazy
Yeah.
because I just think like just seeing like his journey and his comeback, and honestly, he just seems like the sweetest and nicest person. I think he sometimes forgets that even he's famous, and he's just there taking pictures of everyone. It was really really cool, and like I'm so happy he won the Oscar. Also, Brendan Fraser as well. Like
Yeah,
he deserved it
definitely.
as well. Like there were a lot of really really great nominations, and I think
Hmm.
everyone like in movies and itself, like they are hard to make in the sense where you want to do it justice. So a lot of the actors, a lot of the production team, they go above and beyond. So the
Mm.
amount of work which they put into it, and like if everyone deserves something at the end of the day, but
Hmm.
obviously it's
No, no, of
individual.
course.
But I do feel like those were the right options, and those were the right choices, and it was really really heartwarming and good to see. And I think they've done a good job. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
What about
Michelle
you?
Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
I mean, bro, every time Key comes on the screen, he makes me cry.
yeah,
Okay, that because he's so, as you said, such a sweet guy.
yeah,
And it must have been hard the past 20 years because yes, he's been working behind the cameras. I think he was stunt coordinator on the first X-Men movie. He did
mm,
Encino Man, which is California Man in the UK. And little things here and there, but for him to reap the rewards of everything everywhere all at once. I remember coming out of the cinema saying, this movie needs to win everything. And I'm going to go find the podcast where I spoke to my brother about this, is that movie needs to win every type of award it
yeah.
can, because it
So good.
was absolutely beautiful. Because, you're talking about, the Chinese culture and the way they grow up and what they go through. I mean, it's very similar to what we go through as on our side of the world as well. And, going through different things, but the way they did the science fiction and the drama and the action, if the movie made me laugh, enjoy action, and have a great story and tear me up, you've done your job, man.
Yeah, it had everything. I watched
Yeah,
it and I was like, yeah, this movie is so good. Like the relationships were great. The way the
yeah.
Daniels filmed it, it was just amazing. Like the way it was put together, everything was just like amazing. And I really loved it. I just thought they did a really, really great job. Like you said,
Mm,
it had everything. It was like tear jerking. It was funny.
mm.
Like the fight scenes where they were, the fight
Yeah.
scenes were really hilarious. So I wasn't expecting that. So
No, was I?
yeah, so it was hilarious. So it just had a bit of everything in it, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm not surprised that they ended up winning what, like 7 Oscars. So yeah,
Amazing, bro.
they
Amazing.
deserved it. They're 100%.
That, yeah, that it's the most awarded movie ever with
Yeah,
like all other awards. It's won as well. But Key, yeah, just so sweet, so humble. He's just like one of us. That's, as you said, like taking photos with everybody, enjoying the moment. And I hope to see him more because his role in Everything Everywhere All at Once was just absolutely amazing. He really, it's a great comeback. Same thing from Brendan. I watched The Whale as well, which was really good. Great performance and another great comeback as well. It's gutted I don't get to see him as Firefly in Batgirl as a Batwoman.
yeah,
Yeah,
I heard about that. I'm surprised it got cancelled, but like when I'm surprised Warner Brother just went, yeah, let's just get rid of it. But obviously with James Gunn coming in, I think obviously they wanted to just start fresh and just do
yeah,
everything and
definitely,
just go down a
definitely,
different route. Yeah,
definitely, definitely. We yeah, we've had like loads going on at the moment now with the DC universe. I mean, as much as I still love it, I'm a fanboy. It's not been cohesive when it comes to storytelling, which is hard. Which Marvel got right, but Marvel is starting to slow down their road because they knew they were coming to that point where I personally think anyway, comic book movies are oversaturated now.
that's actually one thing I wanted to ask you because obviously, like for me, um, I wouldn't say like I'm the biggest
Mm,
comic book fan. Like I really do love it, but like I kind of felt like especially when it came to Marvel, they were building towards this for like Endgame really,
mm.
and for me like that for me was almost like the cake, and then the cherry on top of the cake was the Spider-Man film with
Yeah,
all the
that's
three
right.
Spider-Man. So that's
Yeah,
kind of for me like I kind of felt that to be almost like a nice sort of like ending to sort of the
yeah.
whole Marvel thing. I don't know about you, but for me like I agree with you to an extent. Like obviously it's a bit oversaturated, and I don't know. Maybe that's just because they're just trying to do a lot more TV shows and put a lot more different content out, or maybe because of, like a lot of people like myself, because I've spoken to a lot of people, they do feel like Endgame was sort of that like wow, this huge spectacle, and like it sort of come like almost an end to an era sort of thing. It's come to
Mm.
an end. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but like that's what actually
No,
what I wanted to get your thoughts on because I was
no.
interested on that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that was an extravagant movie. Like, it gave all the fan service it could give. It wasn't the greatest storytelling movie. I think Infinity War was a much better
Yeah, I
movie.
preferred Infinity War as well. Yeah,
Infinity War
definitely.
is an amazing story. And the fact that, sorry, spoilers, if you haven't seen Infinity War, they lost at the end,
Yeah,
that was a great thing for them to do. But I think moving on to Endgame and how it finished off, because it felt like it was farewell to these characters, even though we knew they were going to continue it, I still get excited watching it. I mean,
yeah,
because I'm a fan of the books and seeing these characters on the big screen and on TV, like we get all the Star Wars content and the DC TV shows. Like it's amazing because I'm 41 now, and when I was 15, we had a couple of TV shows, The Incredible Hulk and things like that, but they weren't at this level and this grand where you're like, oh my God, wow, this looks like the comic book pages. Like that, as an artist,
mm,
that's what I see. When I see visuals, I see what the concept ideas were. So that's why I love The Mandalorian, because at the end of Mandalorian, they show you all the artwork concepts before they
yeah,
film the scene. So, but I personally think because it's lost its quality.
yeah. Is
It's
that
lost its
part? Is
quality in
that
storyline.
is that because you think like there's too much going on? Because obviously, like you mentioned, it's great obviously that they have a lot of content, but sometimes you could lose that quality because there's only like a certain number of people that have like the VFX skills to make all the special effects,
Mm,
and there's like I said, there's only a limited amount of people. I don't know how much like in the future we'll see the like with AI technology coming in, it might help a lot of like artists,
Well, no.
and they'll be able to make a lot of content. But I don't know, maybe because that's one of the reasons, because I guess with Marvel previously it was a bit more like they had Iron Man. It was a bit more structured, and they weren't sort of pushing out too much too quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
At least that's what I thought. But I
No,
think
that's
it's
right.
great they're making a lot of content. I just think obviously I don't know, like with some people they're like not as interested in it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Who knows?
People, no, of course not. I mean, people either grow out of it or it's too much. It's hard to keep up. There's too much to do. I mean, when they started phase one, to be honest, they didn't really do it for thinking it will go on to a phase 2, 3, and 4. When they did the first Iron Man, and it was all about merchandise and toys. So you can imagine that how much money they make on merchandise is extravagant. It's like bigger than the movie numbers. So for them, it was, let's see if we could sell some toys. Let's bring out a movie. You know, now that we own this franchise, let's bring out a movie. Let's see if we sell some toys with it. And it was a big winner. So they had more time to breathe then, I think. I think over the past 2 or 3 years, we've come to a point now where even just general movie going is oversaturated because we've got so much coming out. And it's not that, because now you've got fans making movies. You've got people that are filmmakers making movies. We've got so much. We're spoiled for choice. And just like how the radio is, where the radio plays you a song and you end up liking that song, they're feeding you that. We're spoiled because we're getting that straight away. And now we're doing the same thing with TV and movies. We're spoiled.
Yeah.
And we only
Maybe
get
it's
like
like
a handful of movies.
Yeah, I think it's also like you said as well. It's almost our expectation as well. Like we've sort of come to expect it. Like Marvel. We want this, we want this, we want this. Previously, obviously, like you mentioned, like they didn't even know that that there was going to be a phase 2, phase 3, phase 4.
Yeah.
Like we were just happy. Oh yeah, we got another Marvel film. So yeah, I think people's expectations have changed as well. So
and they have, because even with the Marvel movies that have come out recently and the TV shows, I think I'm really open-minded when it comes to stuff like that, because I appreciate the art and the hard work that goes into it. So, but because we've got so many people online, you've got your TikTok YouTubers, you've got your theory guys that bring out all these different theories, start off rumors and kick off loads of things and build people's expectations up. So by the time they get to the cinema, they're not getting what they've been reading for the past year or two. And that's where I feel like we're spoiled, because before, if we was to get any information about movies, even when the internet was still out there, it would be in magazines where we see a picture of something like Empire Magazine or something like that, where we get to see an image of the movie or something like that. Where now, think about all of these marketing companies now that just push out stuff like, you already know how much they're going to put into the movie, because we've seen so much behind the scenes content. Now we're getting spoilers in the trailers. They're enticing people to go into the cinema and stuff like that, where really and truly before, I think when I watched The Matrix, and probably the last ever creative movie that I actually saw in cinema, I've seen loads of other stuff, but Matrix was the first original sci-fi adventure that nobody knew nothing about. Even the trailer when it came out was just the code falling and saying The Matrix, and it said Keanu Reeves is in it, and you're like, what the hell is this? I remember going to the cinema with my friends, and we went to go watch Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino, because we're like Al Pacino, LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx, all of these big names in this movie. We'll go do that. We went there and it was like, what's this Matrix movie? And the lady behind the counter was like, I don't know. So I was like, let's go watch this. And we watched it and we were amazed. I was like, oh my God, like that's what I want. I don't want to see half the movie in a trailer anymore, which is very hard, because now we live in that type of marketing, because if you're not giving the consumer what they want, they're not going to go see that movie. You've got to give them a bit more. But that's why I feel like movies nowadays don't have rewatchability. They don't. It doesn't have that, because, like, don't get me wrong, all the movies that have come out in the past year or two, Doctor Strange and all of these superhero movies, I watched them maybe once. If it's good, then maybe twice, 3 times. But before, like when Christopher Nolan did Batman Begins, that was the first ever movie I saw 7 times. I saw it twice in one day, but I saw that movie 7 times in cinema. So it was like, he did something amazing there with a different genre where he grounded those characters. And I think the Netflix shows did that with Marvel when they did Daredevil.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we've come to a point now where it is oversaturated. We've got way too much. I love it still. You know, I'm happy to be a part of that world still. But they're not like, you know, my top movie last year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I still love
Yeah.
those movies, those indie budget movies, because they have a different feel to it. And I watched that 6 times since it's come out. You know, I saw
Yeah.
it 3 times in cinema. So like I'm a big fan of those movies. And then, you know, I'm an 80s boy, so I love my 80s and 90s movies, my cheesy movies. But now I think in the era we're in now is just how much can we get out there? How much can we push? And it is oversaturated. I can admit to that. As much as I love it, I contradict myself and say it's too much.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like that's the thing. Like it's interesting to see because, like I said, like I mentioned at the beginning, we live in such an attention economy. Like everyone's fighting for your attention. So, yeah, I agree with you. Like the last thing you want to see is like, you know, a spoiler or a leak or something like that to a movie. Like I see like a lot of people on their phones. Like I think they were filming. What was it? When the Batman was being filmed, there was a lot of stuff which was being like leaked online, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't really want to see it, but cool. But yeah, that's the thing. Like nowadays, everyone's got their phones. They can just make a quick video from their apartment, and there you go. Like
Yeah, of
like
course.
you couldn't really do that back in the day. So yeah, I don't know,
No,
but just have to adapt with the times and.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. We as human beings, we adapt really quickly. We go into it too hard, or we slow down and we get with it. But you know, for me, get to see all of these amazing projects come out. You know, I'm a movie goer. I'm a fan of movies. I love the hard work that goes behind it. I think that's where, as an artist, I can connect with uh, these creators that are pushing this stuff out there. I mean, I did an interview with Matt Reeves last year, just after Batman had come out, and you know the passion and love that he has in filmmaking is amazing to hear. But he knows, you know, the hard work that they go through. It's like they did it during COVID. They had to do COVID checks. They had to have a limited amount of people on the production side. They can't have that many people now that COVID's, you know, going around, you know. So it was amazing hard work that he put into it. And then it takes 2-3 years of your life away from you, you know? So I appreciate the hard work, and I would never shit on anybody's work. Never ever.
Yeah,
If I didn't
definitely.
enjoy the movie, I don't have to tell people I didn't enjoy it. I still find I'm people would call me a fanboy because I still enjoy stuff even if it's bad.
Yeah,
Because
because you
I know,
appreciate the work, right? Yeah,
yeah,
that's the main thing
exactly.
at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And
But I
do you know
wouldn't
what?
go
I agree
online
with
and
you.
say bad things about it. That's my thing.
Yeah, like I feel like if you've got nothing good to say, then you don't need to say it. Like your
No, you don't
opinion is
need
your
to.
opinion.
No,
I think, and do
exactly.
you know what? I agree with you in terms of like the hard work that goes on, especially making these movies. Because I worked as like an extra on several like of these like big productions, and like
Yes, that's right.
you just see like people doing their jobs. There's so much work that goes into it, and like loads of people they're working hard. Sometimes they don't even eat during the day. It's like it's insane the amount of work that goes into it. So like for me, I agree with you. I appreciate a lot of the work which goes into movie making, and I have respect for anyone that is willing to put out something which is their vision and just put something out there to the world which they want to share, and hopefully people like it. Because
Mm,
at the end of the day, like it's kind of to some degree like it's kind of scary trying to make a, a film in the hope that you put your like heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears into it. Like people don't see how many hours you spend, like you know, on production, how many sleepless nights you've done making this for then some person to just comment, oh yeah, it wasn't all that, and like I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't like reading comments and like I just disregard it, but like at the end of the day we're all human. Like if you spend hours and hours and hours and years, like most of these films, on average a movie takes like a year or a
mm.
couple years to make. You spend years making a film, and then some person's watched it in like 2 hours and go, yeah, it's not for me. You will feel a bit disappointed, but like that's just the way it is. You can't please everyone at the end of the day, and I
No,
just
you
think it's
can't. You can't. It's hard.
having
The
that
problem
control.
is that with the internet has given everybody kind of freedom of speech, which is really cool in one way, but negative wins on that. That's the only problem. and people, and we're a society that look at reviews before we buy a product, before we watch a movie, before we watch a TV show, before we cook food. Like we watch reviews, we see other people's thoughts on it, and we've become that. We've somehow in some way forgot to take our own sort of like opinions and things like that to make decisions, our own decisions. Like I go into the cinema with a blank slate in my head because that's my escapism. I'm not here to judge anybody or do anything or say anything bad about somebody's work. I just want to get away for 2 hours, and my life is so hectic, and movies make me feel amazed, and how big their imagination is. That makes me think about, what do they do with the special effects? How do they make the sound like that? Like, got to watch Shazam! Fury of the Gods recently, and I sat in the middle of the IMAX cinema, and the sound was amazing. You got all these really cool creatures in there, and you're like, where did he, like, how, like, did he make it sound like that? And the chair was rumbling, and I was like, this is amazing experience. And don't get me wrong, like, some films have done amazing things, like Avatar: Way of Water. You watch that and you're stunned. You're like, amazing, how did he even think about this stuff? And it's taken him 14-15 years to put together. It's beautiful, it's amazing. He's the greatest filmmaker in the world, I've got to say. All of his movies are amazing. So like the cinema experience and watching these big dogs doing like their big things is amazing. But even the smaller creators that push out their work out there is amazing enough as well, because Everything Everywhere All at Once proves that completely, because where they were doing a movie about a multiverse and you had Doctor Strange coming out, which is a 200 million budget compared to a 25 million budget. That's nuts, bro.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely
man.
nuts.
Crazy.
So we've come far, I think, when it comes to content. And even with the work that we do and the work that we put out, it's important to us, I suppose. And I think I came to a point where I'm not looking for validation no more. Past couple of years, I was looking for validation in the work I do. But then I realized after, like, doing the podcast more with my brother and meeting guests like you, it was all about the legacy that we leave behind for our kids and our families later on. That's my validation now. That's for them to come on once they're 18 anyway, because I do swear on here a lot. So, Alara, 18 plus.
18.
I'll put a lot of restrictions on there. But, for them to say that, my dad or my granddad did some cool stuff, like, I'm coming from a very strong family-orientated background where, my granddad came here after the Second World War, went through his stuff, but he did a lot for us in this country. Same thing my dad did for us to keep us going, It gave me that work ethic that's kept us doing this podcast for almost 8 years now. I mean, we're on over 400 episodes. That is amazing. And a massive thank you for coming on as well. Because
no, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
That's it's always nice to have a good conversation with you. But yeah, no. Anyway, before I go off course, completely, you have been in a couple of films as extras, you said. So I did want to touch base on that. What's that like? Because I can't, so it was, there's a big one in there, isn't it? There's a couple of big ones that you've been on. There's a few. So, but there was one that was a touching one, because you told me, it meant so much to you.
Yeah.
And is that the first one or the second one? I'm trying to remember.
I'll explain it. So basically, so I've been an extra, and it's weird because I think I'm a sequels guy, because I was in Paddington 2, I was in Wonder Woman 2, and I was in Maleficent 2. So I'm kind of a sequels guy. So I sort of just ended up like being an extra
in the sequels.
Yeah,
this guy.
Sequels. But you know what? Like the one which, like, and even to this day, and I will shut everyone down on their point if they say, oh, like if they ask me what's your favorite film, I will always say Paddington 2. And for me, the reason for that is because Paddington 2 means a lot to me, because before I got that job as an extra, unfortunately my grandmother like passed away, and she was like the hugest like Paddington fan. She went to see it in the cinemas. It was really, really like lovely, and she just loved Paddington so much. So like for me, like I remember getting like a call from like one of the like extra agencies, and I was like in central London, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we would love you to be in like part of the production as an extra." And I just put the phone down, I just started crying. I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. It's literally like full circle. And I went to film, and it was quite like emotional for me. But like I filmed everything. I met really cool people. Everyone was super nice. And like fast forward like a year or two when the movie comes out, I was just like, they're not gonna put the scene which I was in, because like you know, like most of these productions, they've got huge budgets and they just cut out a lot of the scenes. So just like I won't really go to see it. But my parents were just like, oh no, go see it, go see it. So I went to the cinema like a week later after like the whole sort of thing died down, and then I went there, and like and I promise you not, like I've never gone into any movie, or I've never been to any cinema where like I've just fully like broken down and like cried. And it's the only film where like I just looked to my right, and I just wish that my grandmother was like sitting there and just watching that film with me. And I just couldn't stop crying. It was a really, really crazy experience. And that's why, like I mentioned to you earlier about the guy who lost his mother, and that comment, like he said, this movie means so much to me. That's the reason why like that means so much to me, and that's the reason why I want to make films, because like it's almost like if I'm able to do that for someone, I kind of would have like experienced what I wish I could have had with my grandmother,
exactly.
like her being there watching that film with me. And that's that's why I say like that for me is more important than an Oscar. Just like having that human connection and the connection to the people that you care about the most. That's the reason why I want to go out and make films and do the best I can, whether people like it or not. And that's the reason why, like, if anyone tries to say, Paddington's not that great, I will shut them down on all their points. I will shut them down and go, no, you're wrong. So
Great
that's the only
movie
time
though.
I'll be
It is a
stubborn.
good
Yeah,
movie.
no,
I
it is.
love
It
it.
actually
I
is a really
absolutely
good
love it.
movie.
It's a great movie, bro.
Yeah, it's a great
I
movie.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I love both of them. And I think I watched them with Lara a couple of weeks ago. We watched 1 and 2, and she absolutely loves Paddington now as well. She wants a jacket just like him. So I
Yeah,
was like, perfect. I'll get you the whole outfit.
nice.
No, it's amazing, bro. That's an amazing story, man. Thanks for sharing that with us
No
because
worries.
that's
Actually, if you freeze frame it, if you watch Paddington 2, I think it's like around about 8 minutes. There's a bunch of people in suits. If you freeze frame it, this is a little thing which Hollywood even do. They use copy and paste. They've copied and pasted me like 4 or 5 times. So like literally, if you freeze frame it, like I picked, it's literally like Where's Wally, but like in this case, it's Where's Phil. So I'm like, oh, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. So yeah, crazy. So, yeah,
I'll definitely do that. I'll tag you
a
in an
little bit
image. I can't wait. That's brilliant. Absolutely
behind the
brilliant.
scenes.
But working on something like that, I mean, that must have been, I know that there's hours of waiting and then going through processes and, you know, did you, I mean, once you're on set, what's that feeling like?
Do you know what? Like, it's really like I speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people say the same thing. When you're on the set, it's crazy because a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, it's really, really cool. It's really amazing." And that's like for the first like half an hour, and then after that, like it just wears off because you're there like 13 hours and you're like working all day, and then
Yeah.
it just sort of you just sort of become used to it. But I think for me, out of all the jobs which I've done, I forgot to mention I also worked on Rocket Man, but they cut out everything, so not in that movie. But I worked on that for 3 days, and that was one of the greatest experiences which I've ever had, because
Yeah.
like they dressed me up in this really cool funky outfit, like like I was like a weird guy going to like a concert, and they gave me like a camera, and I was just there like literally taking pictures of everyone. And we were basically in this like a little studio at Pinewood, and essentially Taron was doing his thing, Taron Egerton, who plays Elton John, of course, in the movie. And yeah, we were just all there. Like we had to like sing and dance, and it was really, really cool and really fun. Like after the first hour, but once you're doing it for like 10 hours, you're like, okay, cool. This is this is a bit much now. So that was like the first couple of days. So that was the first and second day we were like filming with Taron. But I was quite fortunate and quite lucky because on the third day they asked like only like 10 extras to come like stay back. And when you're an extra, like the treatment is, it's okay, but it's very difficult to treat everyone like, you know, with like equally, because there's 200 people, so you have to just sort of manage the crowd. But when I got invited back on the third day and there were only like 10 of us, it literally was like we got treated like royalty. We were having food with the crew. It was amazing. It was super. It was really, really cool. But one of the experiences which I had, and I still remember this, and it was super embarrassing. One of the things which they needed to do was they needed to do like a sort of like motion capture sort of thing. So when they make scenes where like the stadium is full up, they get like a few extras and they film them in different positions, and then they just basically copy and paste that all over that particular like frame. And so I was actually selected to be this extra. So they got me to basically sing Benny and the Jets, the Elton John song. And at that time, I didn't know that song. So I went up first. And they played the music and they're like, oh yeah, you need to sing. And I was like, I can't sing. Two, I don't know the lyrics. So I was just like, it was really awful. The crew were laughing. It was really hilarious. But I had a great time. And I was just like having the time of my life. And that's the thing, like being on set, you meet loads of cool people, you have a great time, and you have like loads of fun. So for me, I really love that experience being on Rocket Man. Maleficent 2 was also a really fun experience, because what happened was we got dressed up in these like outfits. I think I was dressed up as like someone like from a village, and there were these like huge like blue screens, like 50-foot massive blue screens, and they were filming outside. And I think it was the assistant director. He basically said, he was like, okay, guys, what I need you to do for me, I need you guys to all be really like scared. There's these like really like fairy pixie things that are trying to attack you. And like, I had this pitchfork, and I was just like, I was looking around, and I was just like, because like when you look at it in reality, it's just basically a bunch of like people dressed up in costumes pretending to be scared of something that's not there. That's why I have a lot of respect for these actors.
Yeah, definitely.
I spent that whole day, the guy would be like, action, and I was just like, I was laughing so much. I tried to like not put my face in the camera because they would like see me laughing, and I was just trying to imagine like being scared, but I couldn't, because I just saw these people running around pretending that they were scared of like nothing. But yeah, do you know what, like it's really cool being on set. It's a lot of fun. Everyone there is like super nice, and you know the good thing is being an extra. Like I know a lot of people like who've worked as an extra, they say they don't really like the treatment, all that, but the one thing I really love is you meet people from all different walks of life. So you don't just meet like the same people in your age group, you meet people old, young, like and it's really, really cool, like to hear people's stories, because you do a lot of waiting around when you know go to film. So it gives you a chance to sort of like speak to people, talk to people. So, and there's always like really cool stories to tell. Like I filmed as well for a TV show, Pennyworth. I don't know if you've seen Pennyworth. I did like season 2, I think, and I see like it's always 2s. I don't know what's up with being like the second version, but yeah. We filmed on that, and what was like a cool story from that was like we were super like tired, because a lot of the call times are really early when you do when you're an extra. So sometimes they can be like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. So I remember getting to Warner Brothers Studios, and it was super early. It was like 5. We got changed. We did like our a costume and everything. Then we went to set, and they still had these like foam like stones from when they were filming like the Harry Potter movies. So there was a lot of like broken stuff, and me and just another extra, we saw this like foam thing, and we just was like, oh, let's just sleep on the job. So we sort of like between takes, we were just taking turns of like napping and just like taking a rest. And one guy was literally snoring on the set. So like it's crazy. Like even to this day, like you just have these like fun stories to tell, these fun memories, and yeah. I really love it. I really love it. Like,
amazing. You know. So Wonder Woman, was it 1984?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and funny
Which
enough,
scene wasn't that?
It was literally right at the end. So right at the end, there's a scene where Gal Gadot, it's like a Christmas scene. It's like really
that's right. Yeah.
I was in that scene. And that was really cool as well, because we filmed that in central London, and we filmed that right next to my university. So I used to go to UCL, University College London, and they filmed it literally right next to it, and they got these like vehicles, and yeah, it was really cool. And what happened actually by mistake, I don't know how it happened, but like the AD just said, "Oh, go walk over there," and I went to walk and I did my thing, and somehow I ended up like next to Gal Gadot, and I was just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm cool," and I was just I'm freezing cold because they gave me this like really skinny like tracksuit bottom, and it was like really cold. They filmed it in December, and I was like, and she was like, "Oh, just trying to keep warm." I was like, "No, will do. Thank you very much." And then I just walked off, and yeah, it's crazy. Like it's really cool. They made this like whole Christmas market set, and I remember like in between takes they had like this actual like candy floss machine,
Yeah.
and one of the extras, what he would do is he would just go to the candy floss machine and just grab one and then share it out to all of us like just before we do the take, and then we eat it. So we got a bit of energy to like keep going. And yeah, just like I said, it's just really really cool filming that scene, and just learning a lot about like movie making in itself, like being next to the IMAX cameras, seeing how they film the snow.
Mm.
Like the snow is basically just soap, and they just
Yeah, yeah.
foam it out. It just everything is just so cool. Like when you see it on set, I'm one of those types of people that I just like to I'd like to just observe and see what people are doing, and like obviously everyone's super busy, but it's just a really cool environment. And
Environment, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, the way I like to say it is that it's beautifully chaotic because there's so much going on, but like it's just so amazing how they get things done as well. So yeah, for me, that's why I say I've got so much respect for a lot of these filmmakers, the lengths which they go to just film one scene. Like that scene was like a couple seconds, and that
Mm.
took literally all day to film. They filmed it from so many different angles. They did
Yeah.
this, they did that. Yeah, crazy. So that's why I have the utmost respect for all filmmakers, and not only that, it's just so much fun to do. So anyone watching, highly recommend you guys to just
No,
go and
definitely. That's pretty cool. That's really
do
cool.
do an extra job because it is a lot of fun and you
No,
learn a lot
definitely.
for sure.
I think that's the next thing I want to put on my CV next year is I need to be in one of these movies. Just even a split second, see my face. Uh, I'd love to join that experience and just have that on there. I'm gonna have to find screenshots of all your movies now and use it as the artwork and just find that's clear. That's clear. That's clear. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. All right. Where can we find you online, dude? So that the guys online, on like when they're watching the podcast or listening to it, guys, you gotta go follow. You gotta go follow. That's all I can say. So it'll be in the description. But where can we find you, dude?
So just basically just movie K. So on TikTok, so it's movie spelled with two E's because unfortunately one E was taken up, and then just yeah, movie with two E's underscore K. And yeah, that's basically me. I just basically post on TikTok. I have reposted a few things on YouTube as well, but mostly TikTok. So and
No, that's cool. That's cool.
now you can do like a request on TikTok. So like feel free to drop me a message.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you can do like these DMs as well. I think it's called the TikTok added a new feature. So yeah,
Nice. That's
if
very
you
cool.
can,
Very
just
cool.
drop a hello and say hi. Like I'm very friendly. I don't get that many messages. So yeah,
No.
feel free
That's
to say
cool,
hello.
man. Definitely, guys, get in touch because really knowledgeable but inspiring film quotes that he does is one of my favorites. So make sure you check it out. And then I was going to say, dude, so like most of the listeners that do listen on here are big fans of cinema, comic books, artwork. Some of them are artists as well. I will call you an artist because you're a movie maker as well. What could you give them in kind of I would say motivation, but what is it that you would say for them to just go do it? Like
I
there's
think
nothing holding back.
I think the thing is the one thing I always try to think about is imagine if you were like it's I think it's a cliche as well, but I imagine if you're like 90 years old and you're looking back at your life and you're like, oh, what did I do in my life? I would just try to picture yourself like as that older version and saying to yourself, oh, did I do everything I wanted to do? Because a lot of the time it's not what people do that they regret, it's the things which they don't do which they regret. So if it's a video you want to make it, because in 100 years time we're not going to be here. So um just go and do it. Like at the end of the day, like you've got nothing to lose, you've only got something to gain, because who knows, you might make that video and it might completely change your life, or you might draw that picture and someone, it might get seen by a famous like a gallery or whatever it may be, or comic book artist. You literally never know. Life is funny how it works. So I would just say, just go for it, do it, and yeah, that's basically it. At the end of the day, for me personally, that's what I try to do. I always try to think, is this something which I want to do? And even if it's not, I just do it anyway, because sometimes when you are trying to put work out there, especially consistency, this is one thing I found difficult, is you have to do it on the days where you don't feel like doing it, because that's kind of what builds that resilience and sort of like determination as well. And that's how you know you want it. That's how you know you love it, because you will do it when you don't feel like doing it. That's how you know you love it. Like, I love this. I love what I do on TikTok, and I try to do it like consistently. I've got loads of videos planned. Previously, I was doing it like every day, but because I've become super busy, I've like post every couple of days now. But even like 3 years later, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing the same stuff. So you have to do it when you don't feel like it, because if you stop doing it, like, you just sort of get left behind in that sense. And you know what? It doesn't matter who sees it, who doesn't see it, like who sees it. All that matters is that how you feel about that content, or that artwork which you're drawing, or whatever it may be for yourself. Like, as long as you in your heart feel like this is what you want to do, there's no one that can't tell you otherwise, because like, you know your life better than anyone else. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Sorry,
exactly.
It's a bit long-winded, but yeah.
No, it's fine, dude. It's absolutely amazing. All right, dude. I want to say a massive thank you for jumping onto the podcast. Always grateful to be in your company.
Likewise.
Guys, as I said, details are in the description. Make sure you go follow him. It'll be on all streaming platform, guys. But Kafil, thank you. Honestly, I'm always honored to have great people that do great things on the show. And since we started getting more people on, it's been absolutely amazing. And the fact that you wanted to come on, it makes me feel, honored to have you on here, dude. Because we started this podcast 8 years ago, not knowing where it was going to head to having great conversations with different people from different parts of the world, to different industries, to just being your everyday guy. And it's amazing to have your presence on the podcast, man. So definitely, I wish you all the best on your projects.
Appreciate it.
And,
But no, look,
definitely.
for me, I'm more honored to be on it. So like, I appreciate you inviting me. Like, honestly, like, I am more honored. Trust me. Like, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you for the
No, you're welcome, dude. You're welcome. It's always, for me personally, it's always great to catch up with people that, enjoy doing what they do. And if I can share that passion across to the people that listen and watch this, then that's my job done, man. Because if you can inspire that one person, as you said, bro, that's a little change in the world that we could be proud of, and I hope that we can bring that across to people. So, as always, guys, you know where to find the Brothers Geek Out podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, guys that are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for the love that you guys show. You guys are absolutely amazing. There is a handful of you that are absolutely out of this world. We can't thank you enough. And no, definitely, Kafil, we'll catch up soon. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.